good crowd. Good morning. My name is Jordan Doroshenko, Director of Athletics Communications here at Colgate University, and it is an honor to stand here before you and start off this special event for everyone in Colgate Athletics. First, thank you all for joining us here today inside the beautiful class of 1965 Arena. This is a wonderful facility to host such a special event for everybody. It's great to see so many coaches, staff members, friends, and community members here in attendance. Also, thank you to all of our viewers tuning in to today's live stream. Today is a special event for Colgate Hockey and a special event for Colgate Athletics. Please note that we'll save all of your questions for the end of today's press conference following our speakers. And to get us started, it is my pleasure to introduce Colgate University Interim Vice President and Director of Athletics, Yuri Vermeer.
Thanks, Jordan, and good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today, both those who are here with us in the room and those joining us virtually for this, really exciting day for the Colgate men's hockey program as we formally introduce Mike Harder as the next head coach. Before sharing a bit about Mike and why we think he is a great person to be leading this program moving forward, I do want to start by thanking the members of our search committee and my colleagues in athletics and across campus for their help, guidance, and assistance as we work through the search process. I've been through a lot of searches in my time working in college athletics, but never in this way, in this role. And we could not have made it here without their help and support. Specifically, I want to share appreciation to those that were on the search committee: Ryan Baker, Carl Klaus, Greg Fargo, Peter Scull, and Dorsey Spencer. And then also I want to thank President Casey and many members of cabinet that were quick to offer advice, support, and feedback as we went through our process. I also want to recognize Don Vaughn, who's in attendance here today. Don led our program for 30 years. He's been a tremendous steward of Colgate and Colgate hockey, building upon and enhancing, the many traditions of this great and wonderful program. It was incredibly special to watch Don and the team capture the ECAC championship this past year and to see how that energized, our community, our alumni, our fan base, and it's special to have you here today. So that leads us to today, as we begin the next great chapter of the men's hockey program here at Colgate, and introduce Mike Harder as the Donald F. Vaughn head men's hockey coach. In one of our first meetings we had with Mike as a committee, he talked about how the two things that really get him excited are Colgate and our hockey. Perfect. Mike's a 1997 graduate of Colgate. He's Colgate's all-time leading scorer. If you look behind this speaker, you'll see the stick he used to score that point that Pat took him ahead, his 213th point. It looks very different than the sticks of today. Maybe after this, we'll get it out of the case and Mike can pose with it. But Mike is one of Colgate's most decorated hockey student athletes. If you look on these plaques and trophies, his name appears a lot. He's an All-American, a Hobey Baker finalist, a multiple-time All-ECAC player, and much more. After Colgate, Mike spent 13 years playing professionally, first in the American Hockey League and then had stops in Europe, Sweden, Finland, Germany, Italy, and Austria. He coached in Italy before coming back to Colgate as a volunteer and then assistant coach. He was on the bench with Don for two of Colgate's best teams, going to back-to-back ECAC championship games, in 2014 and 2015. Mike left Colgate in 2019 and relocated to Reno, where he founded the hockey club Reno Ice. In a short time, he founded it. In a short time, he built and directed a program that coached hockey with an emphasis on skill development and training, and under his leadership grew a program from nothing to more than 500 players in just 4 years. So I've talked a lot about hockey, but there's so much more to Mike than hockey. The first question we asked as a search committee when we had our in-person interviews was to ask the candidates about their core coaching philosophy. And Mike answered it in a way that I've never heard anyone answer a question like this before. Talking about how different life experiences he's had have informed his beliefs about the game and who he is. He talked about how learning to free dive after his playing career taught him control, how being a Colgate student spurred intellectual curiosity, how volunteering at an animal sanctuary taught him compassion, and how his time building a program in Reno spurred a passion for community building and networking. So control, curiosity, compassion, community building, those are pretty impressive traits and characteristics and things we aim to teach and instill in our student athletes. We are so thrilled to have Mike back on campus as the next head coach of our program, and it's my pleasure to introduce him to the podium. We have a jersey.
Thank you. Thank you, Yuri, for those kind words and the jersey. Do I get to keep that? Yeah, it's great. Thank you all for coming. Your support is enormous. It means a ton to our program. Thank you. Thank you, President Casey, for attending. Thank you for your leadership, for your bold and ambitious initiatives. I get the sense that we've already moved Colgate ahead by a century, so thank you. Thank you, Coach Vaughn, for being here. It's really important that you're here for me and to be by my side. It really means a lot. And then a special thank you to the search committee. I know it cannot have been an easy task to try to find a replacement for Coach Vaughn, and that's just it. I don't see myself as a replacement. I just see myself as a person who's continuing the great trajectory of Colgate hockey and then evolving as we see fit. I'd like to speak first as an alum to this program. There are hundreds, literally hundreds of us who owe an enormous debt of gratitude to Coach Vaughn and Coach Slater before him. They brought us to this great institution, and by doing so, made our lives immeasurably better. We were provided opportunities that we could have only dreamt of from our small towns in Minnesota, Buffalo. That's not a small town, Carl, but and small Canadian towns. In some senses, even mine in particular, gave me the ability to marry way above my pay grade. So I thank you for that, Coach. I remember, honestly, like it was yesterday, the first time I met Coach Vaughn. I saw him at a game. It was 30 years ago in Weyburn, Saskatchewan. I remember seeing him. I remember how I felt. I remember how nervous I was. I remember how I played. I felt like I tried a little too hard. I remember the goal I scored. It was an empty netter late in the game, and I was really hustling for it, and it was kind of selfish. But I choose not to remember it that way. And I remember how we connected after the game and how important that was to me. And the excitement I felt about the possibility of coming to Colgate. And it meant the world to me. And then I remember our parting shot. I gave him directions to his next stop, which was essentially drive 500 kilometers north until you see a nickel stack, and then you'll know you've arrived. Recruiting in Saskatchewan might not have been the easiest back in the 90s, huh, Coach? Thank you for bringing me here to this place. As a member of this community, I'm so happy to be back among so many great people and great friends. We always knew we'd be back here. We just didn't quite know how that opportunity would manifest. And here it is. As a member, although honorary member of the senior Rowdy Raiders, I'm so excited to be back in the stands cheering for all our great programs. It's just really important, and I love every minute every volleyball game and basketball game and football game I've been to over the years, and we'll continue that. And finally, as a member of the coaching faculty, I'm just thrilled to be back around thought leaders where I can learn so much. These are experts in their fields, experts in their sports. I'm excited to idea share. I'm excited to offer our support as a hockey program and get their support when needed. Coach Fargo, I'm so excited to share this amazing space with you and to keep learning from you and your staff. I'm both honored and humbled to be leading this great program, so rich in history and full of tradition. And I promise everybody that I will do my absolute best every single day to keep developing great hockey players and great humans. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Coach. Catch your breath, and you'll take the podium here in just a few seconds. We'll open it up for questions. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, boy. Oh, hi. My thoughts on the level of our talent and the team currently. Well, it's pretty great. I mean, it's not too often. The Washington Capitals did it. They won a Stanley Cup, and then, they had a new head coach come in. So, I mean, we're in a pretty good spot. Coach Vaughn just led us to our first championship in 33 years. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. I know there's turnover, and that's a healthy thing. I'm currently on a tour to connect with all our players and their families across North America, which is super fun. One down. He lives right by JFK, so that worked out for me last week. About 29 to go. But I feel really good about it. Great, actually. I'm walking into a really good situation, thanks to the previous staff. Well, I mean, the biggest thing about returning to Colgate, a lot of things probably. One, I'm just so happy we're continuing to win. I mean, and that's great. I actually had a conversation with a gentleman this morning about how we handled the pandemic, and we did that really well. Really well. Some people in this room that did a fabulous job, and how we came out on the other side. So I think that, seeing how we survived that and how we're thriving right now, the building on campus, that's always a good sign. When you have a lot of building at the front end of the campus and the back end, there's a lot of great things happening here. And I'm thrilled to be sharing office space with someone who just won 3 back-to-back championships. So lots of good things. It's what Colgate expects to be. So nothing really surprising, but just happy to see our trajectory.
What do you want your teams to be known for? What do you want the identity?
That's a good question. So we're working through that, but I'm a person who always likes to lead with kindness. We're kind all the time in the community, kind with our teammates, kind with our classmates. But that doesn't mean we don't compete. We're going to compete, and we're going to win a lot of hockey games. And again, our identity is just going to be a continuation of who Colgate hockey has been, and will continue to be that.
What's been the biggest challenge since moving across country and taking this new role in your first?
Yeah, not so much a challenge. There's some great people around. I mean, I spent a lot of time with Coach Vaughn. We have a daily phone date, it seems like, and that's been great. The leadership of Yariv has been really helpful. As soon as I get my email going, that'll be great. That's been a challenge, but other than that, friends with Max, Steve Schrenard, these are all people that make the transition really easy for me. And my wife and I have really, really great friends in town who are in the building today, and that makes it really, really great to be around good people. It makes it super simple. Thank you. Yeah, and again, I'm not coming in here to change things by any means. The question was how to adjust to a new coaching regime, strong word, but I'm not here. I'm not here to make any changes, really. Again, I'm going on a listening tour right now with alums and players. I'm just here to try to make things better where I can make them better, and hopefully I don't make things worse. So I don't think there's a big adjustment. Again, we're the 2019 Washington Capitals, or whatever it was, 2016, where we can win again and again and again, and there's a template again across the hallway from me that has done it, and so we want to continue that. Great. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, we're working on that. There's some great people out there. I have some friends that may or may not want to work with me. I'm not sure, but we've had conversations, and it's great. We're going to continue. There are a lot of guys, really smart, hungry hockey people that want to get a job, and this is a great place to work. It's a fantastic place to work. So yeah, I don't anticipate too much problem bringing in talent that can do what we need to do. Thanks again, everybody. Thank you.
All right, that wraps up today's press conference. Reminder, there is bottled water and some refreshments at the table by the stairs. Thank you.